Alrighty guys, y'all know what it is. It's time for another tutorial, and boy howdy, let me tell you, I am excited about this one. We're going to be looking at Lou? I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name properly. I apologize about that ahead of time, so I'm going to avoid saying his name almost at all costs. Anyway, I've been waiting for this guy to come out for quite a few reasons. One, I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan, like humongous, and this guy is obviously inspired by that character. By that person. This character is obviously inspired by that person. But alright, let's forget about all that for right now. I'm going to bump up my level, as I always do. Now I'm going to go over his skills, go over my item choice real fast, and then we'll get into, you know, how they work together, how they synchronize, and all that good stuff. Also, if you check the actual website, it gives you kind of a rundown on how his skills work too. This is just a little tutorial if y'all want a video on it. Alright guys, so check out his passive first. Look at that grin, look at that smirk. He's so smug, he loves it, he knows. Alright, so he gains the following effects depending on the number of hypers within 1,000 units. Defense plus 5% per allied hyper. So you have 3 allies that you have on your team, so that's already like 15% boost on your defense if you're with your team. And you have a critical rate plus 5% per enemy hyper. So your critical rate, you know, if you're around all the enemy hypers, you could have it up to 20% just based on your passive. Not building anything, just period, the end. Alright, now his Q, the rabbit sweep, it spins low to do 207 plus whatever damage you have amplified on there based on your item build, and it also knocks down the enemy. It downs them. This is actually important and awesome. Remember, it downs on both sides though. I'll show you that. His W is a flying kick. Let's not even pretend it's something else. He freaking flies forward, smacks them with his foot, and lands. Now this can combo into his Q. That can actually combo into pretty much anything that he does. His E provokes the enemy within 1,200 units, granting homeboy the following effects: damage taken minus 50% from the enemies that he has provoked, and successful provocation actually grants him the following effects for 5 seconds: attack plus 10%. Provoked enemy hypers suffer from the following effects: they have their damage reduced by 10%. Now his ultimate, Dragon Flip, if any of you guys have ever played Tekken and you play Law, it is literally that flip. It's 2 of those backflips, he kicks them in the air. But he performs a backflip that does 185 plus your damage amplification and stuns them for 0.5 seconds. So it actually is a stun. You have a down and a stun. Do not waste them at the same time. Use one and then the other if you have to. Typically you won't have to because usually they'll be pretty dead. His A is pretty simple. It's a 3-hit attack. He swings and nunchucks really fast twice and hits again, so it's 3 attacks. Now his auto attacks are pretty neat, so let's look into that real quick. Okay, let's go over here. I'm gonna show you his auto attack. Just blam, 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 punch. Alright, so remember, the end of his chain on the end of his combo is the punch. Let's look at his A. 3 hits. Now you have to really pay attention because he does the first 2 hits really fast. There you go. So that's 3 hits. His Q, the rabbit sweep. That's the rabbit sweep. His W, the flying kick. Yeah, there it is. Provocation, his E. There you go. Now that will provoke anybody that's near him. Mind you, you are not invincible during that. Remember that. Please remember that. It also shows you up here underneath your picture, you know, your passive. A little smug. I only got 1 enemy there, so it tells me I have a critical rate boost of 5%. Alright, now the ultimate. That's his ultimate. Also, I want to make it a point to tell you this about the ultimate. You can move with it. Whatever direction you're going is the direction he will go. Now you can't go, you can't turn around, but you can go forward and then slide back. So if somehow you went forward and they dashed backwards, you could slide back to possibly try to catch them. So in and back. The Q works the same way. It does have a little bit of a range to it, so you can actually do that. If you notice, I can go backwards. There we go. A is just going to be the way you're facing. Now let's try and do some little combos here real quick. So we got the W into a Q. I'll show you again, because this one is pretty important because people try to run away. You are an assassin, so they know you do damage. Also, I want to point out, and I want to make this known, that this character is a good scaling assassin, meaning once you start getting your items built, you're going to do so much damage it won't matter. You could be getting completely crapped on, and I don't recommend doing this. Don't just willingly die, but if you start losing the game early, don't get too upset about it, because if your team can push to that later game, to that mid game to late game, you're going to just be doing so much deep damage that it will not matter you lost early. Anyway, the W and the Q again. W, Q. Now, one thing you might mess up on, because some people do this, when you W forward, you might be holding Q, you might still be holding forward after you land, and you go past them. See, I'm sliding completely past her. I'm not even hitting her with my Q, which is important. So what you want to do is W, lift up your hand. Don't lift up your hand from the arrows, but lift your finger off the forward key. W, Q. See, now that time I just misjudged the distance. But see, if I misjudge the distance, and I'm fast enough, if I can react fast enough, W forward, Q backwards. I still get her. So let's do that again. I'm going to go past her and Q backwards. See? Now, I landed pretty far, if you notice that. And the Q still goes backwards and with enough range to hit her. Because the Q itself has a good range. If you can see where the floor is lit up around me, that's just purely from the tutorial, but it actually consumes that entire area. Just to show you that range. It's that entire little circle right there. So I can miss, but I have a slide, you know, and I have a slide whichever direction I'm going, plus the range of the actual attack. So W forward, Q back. If you miss, what you can try to do, say there's two enemies, you know, you got one behind her and then her. Instead of sliding either way, just W, let off the arrow and do it right there, and you got them both. Because you can drop multiple enemies. It doesn't just only affect one. Anyone hit by it will get dropped. Anyway, continuing forward, the easiest combo. I'm resetting my auto attack, so I'll show you that again. Combo, reset my auto attacks, and then my auto attack combo ends. So this is my normal auto attack combo chain, and this is the auto attack combo chain with A. Well, hold on, I messed up. This is normal auto attack combo chain, right? This is the combo attack chain with A. Oh, messed it up again. Normal auto attack combo chain with A. There we go. It's kind of hard to squeeze that in there correctly, but if you do it right, you'll get A off before you do your last hit and restart your entire combo. Anyway, let me explain the items. For this particular hyper, I like to do a little bit of lifesteal. I don't have just a ton of it because there's other things I like to do as well with him. Because he does have a passive crit bonus, I do have crit built on him as well. For his personal hyper item, I use the Justice Nunchucks, or Nunchaku. Basically because they lower the cooldown on Rabbit Sweep, which is the Q, the spinning sweep, which does the down, and that down is very important because it helps you assassinate people, as awful as that sounds. And it also increases the damage of it. So that's fantastic. My boots, I'm getting lifesteal early because I know I don't do a lot of damage early, so I want to be able to sustain while I'm trying to kill someone, or sustain while I'm farming. If my team is able to hold their own, I can go get minions and creeps, get gold for everybody kind of deal. The Breath of Fire is my favorite item on him. Let me explain why. Because its effect at stage 5. After using a skill, your next regular attack within 5 seconds inflicts additional 100% damage, 100% attack damage. Its cooldown is only 3 seconds. You can get this off a lot in fights, and it helps you fight bruisers and other types of tanks. It is fantastic. Now, if you're feeling a little, again, with all my items, this is the order I typically go in. I will change the order in game if I need to. Anyway, so we go with Frost Edge. Reason for Frost Edge, obviously gives you attack and defense, but also when my health goes below 20%, it grants a 580 barrier for 5 seconds. That is very helpful. It keeps me alive. Obviously, if my health gets that low, either you need to escape or try really freaking hard to assassinate the dude or chick or dudette or whatever that I'm fighting so I can live. And there's the case where, you know, I need that barrier just to live longer to try to assassinate them to lower their health for my team to come in and clean up. Always remember, it is still a team game. Don't try to solo dolo it the whole way through. Twilight's Call. I freaking love this. So on-hit crits to enemy targets, on-hit crits to enemy will lower their movement speed by 30% for 2.5 seconds. Now, I don't have a lot of crit built on them because I don't really need it, but when I do get that crit, that wonderful, lovely crit, they ain't going nowhere, basically. This is the only real defense item I have on him, and I know other items give attack and defense, but this one increases my max health by 100% of my attack. It increases my max health by 100% of my defense. This item gives attack and defense. This item max health and attack and defense, attack and max health, attack lifesteal, and mana regain, which does help. So I'm getting all these boosts. I'm trying to synchronize my items a little bit to kind of give me these boosts. Now I'm going to max out item 3 and show you what I mean. So remember, I'd had that combo with my auto attack, and then A. Now I'm going to show you something. You see the timer go off on it up at the top. But check this out. Auto attack. A. That auto attack again. If you didn't catch it, I'll show you again. There's an explosion which shows you the additional damage based on that item. So auto attack. A. And then auto attack again. It's just that simple. Now, this is any skill. So W. Bam. Alright. I can even W, Q, or I can just Q, or I can... Now, what I was saying earlier that you don't want to do, you don't want to Q and then R. You just wasted your stun, basically. You got to launch out of it, but it's not as efficient. So if you Q and then R, if you do find yourself doing that, just drop them as fast as possible afterwards, if you can. But, all of it. Even this taunt, blam. Well, it's not really a taunt, it's just provocation. But you get my point. That's why I love this item on him in particular. Again, I'm going to go ahead and say this now, because I don't want anybody getting the wrong idea. This is how I build him. This is what I like to do with him, and you are free to build him however you want. These are just how I use the skills. This is my guide to simply explain him a little bit better for you guys. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to show you every single item. I would like to let y'all go ahead and get into the lab, get into the training room, and figure it out on your own. But hey, enjoy, guys. Get a good Joho-ho in your day. I'll have more videos up later. So as always, it's been fun.